combat for your walking cane for self-defense. Now, the first thing that we're going to talk about are principles, and I'm going to show you some basic techniques. Get the principles down, the techniques will work. Number one, we're talking about close quarters. We're talking about enclosed spaces. Think about hallways. Think about an entryway. Think about subway. Think about on the plane, on the train. You're in a confined space. So close quarters combat with the walking cane have to rely on techniques that work. And the first principle behind those techniques is going to be use your whole body to strike. That means if I have all the space in the world, out in the middle of the street, or I'm in a big open room, and I have to defend myself, I can create distance with a thrust. I can strike, I have these big motions using the walking cane, which always elicits the question for me, well, how do you defend yourself in a closed, confined space? And so the first thing that I'm going to do is take away all of these big motions using that one hand, and I'm going to instead shift all of the work of generating maximum stopping power using my walking cane for self-defense by engaging my core muscles and my feet. That means I want you to step on every strike, and I want you to bring the cane into the other hand and hold it close to your body. Now that doesn't mean on your body, but close to your body. Hello, Doug, it's good to see you. This is a remake, and I wanted to dedicate this video, today's live stream, to Bill. We're gonna call him Bill, that's his name. Bill was a great guy. Bill was training with me on a regular basis. He's a local guy, and he recently passed. So rest in peace, Bill. I'll miss you. You were a great guy. I only knew him for a little bit, but long enough to know what a good guy he was. And he loved the walking cane, and he would help me. He would take my little walking cane business cards, and he would stop people in the Publix. He would stop people at the park and say, hey, you use a walking cane just like I do. Go check this guy out. And Bill was always trying to promote me locally, and I really appreciate him, really miss him. He just recently passed. So this one is for you, Bill. Thank you very much. And for everybody else who comes here and watches me ramble on. I appreciate you guys just as much. Now, closed spaces, close quarters combat, use your body to strike. I can't swing the cane. I don't have enough room. So from here, I'm going to get it in the other hand, and I'm going to step into the strike. So I have 4 striking surfaces. This is another principle of self-defense using the walking cane in close quarters combat. I have the crook in this part, the round part, which is almost like a big hammer. That hits very hard. That's a lot of surface to strike with. So I have, and think about a rifle butt. If you're former military, if you've ever done a rifle butt strike, you know how powerful they can be. That's the rifle butt. The second is the other side of that crook. Now mine has a tooth, a big nasty tooth that will rake the skin right off of the guy's face for self-defense. And if you're here, if you like this topic, you want to learn more about cane self-defense or close quarters, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you very much. Yours doesn't have to have this same exact bevel on it. If you want to see what these look like, that's the first link below, how they're made. These are self-defense protector canes. But this bevel, or just a hard piece of wood, plastic, whatever yours is made out of, metal, that still is going to create a lot of damage. So that's the second striking surface. The third is this bar of hard material. Either yours is wood, metal, doesn't matter. That's the third striking surface. And then finally, think about a bayonet attack, generating all the force of your body into a small point and thrusting right through someone's throat, eyes, nose, mouth, soft tissue. The basic rule of self-defense is hard against soft. That means hard knuckles against soft tissue, soft against hard. Palms against heads. Elbows can go anywhere because they're so hard. Canes can go just about anywhere because they're so hard. So generate the maximum amount of power. Get the cane in the other hand. You don't have much room. There are walls on either side or behind you. You're in an entryway. You're on the subway. You're on a bus. You're in a plane. And turn your body. If you can take a step with it, and I know you can't see my feet, but I'm just stepping closer to the attack and allowing all of the force of my body to strike. If he's on this side, we'll use this target right here. It's the same thing, but now I'm using the tip here. And remember I said you can use the crook here. I can reach in and pull back. this is very effective. When you talk close quarters combat using your walking cane for self-defense, use this hook to go up into that soft tissue on the back of somebody's neck and just pull straight into you. Because two hands are on it and you reach in and you pull back toward you, you're now gonna generate a lot of physical pain. It's gonna hurt them. You're gonna pull them in toward you, or you rake it across their face and you create just a fire of pain as you go through it. Might even remove the eye or the nose or the teeth for self-defense. That's the purpose of the bevel on a self-defense cane like this, but that's also, even if it doesn't have that same kind of bevel, that's still gonna create a lot of force, a lot of power, because you're hitting all of those nerves, all that soft tissue, using that part right there. Now, the other thing you can do, if you can get turned into the threat, or if they're in front of you, is shove this way. The next thing I want you to do is think about what happens if they're behind you. From this position, turning into them and just moving back into them, just hitting with the tip there or the crook there. So he's behind me, I can turn and immediately create a ton of force, pushing that through solar plexus, into the ribs, into the groin, up into the throat. If you want to go higher, you want to hit the face, instead of lifting your arms, see how my elbows come up? You can't do that in close quarters. You want to simply go like this. By doing this, you're going to maintain that structure that gives you the most power. This allows you, because it's close to your body, this is close, this is close. I just change where my hands are, because I'm here. When I strike into the face, I'm going to break his jaw. I'm going to go through his nose for self-defense. That's going to be very effective. And for you, it's not going to put as much pressure on your joints, on your hands, especially if you have arthritic hands. If you're a little bit older, if you're not as strong as you used to be, do this instead of this. And it's hard. You have to practice that. That's why we practice together. When you go to lift your cane up, most people are lifting with the elbows. Instead of lifting with the elbows, bend the elbows and lift with the hands. Bring the hands up and then change your position, change the level this way instead of changing the level this way. Most people, as they age, their shoulders don't stay as strong as they used to be. Now, by lifting with your shoulders this way, you put all of the pressure there, and that's what is going to be injured first. You're not going to be able to hit as hard as you want to when you have it like this. If you do this, though, you're going to be very strong, because in this position, your hands aren't going to take as much pressure, as much of a beating. Your shoulders aren't going to even feel it. You're just going to be able to stick it into his face, into his throat, or through his chin, right? Straight through the chin, straight through the nose for self-defense. So that's the first principle. The first principle is use your body to strike in close quarters combat. Close quarters combat, confined spaces, you can fight very effectively with the cane if you shift away from thinking about big slicing motions and go down to two hands in stepping motions. Let your body do the work. However much you weigh, you're now, when you take that small step, you're now putting all of that weight plus 10, 20, 30, 40%, even 10 times, whatever, depending on how fast you move, into your striking surface, which goes into their soft tissue. Now, the second thing I want you to see is that this technique that I like to do, the guy's running up on me from the front, I can snatch this up by turning the wrist and bending the elbow. This accelerates into the groin or up under the chin. That's a very effective strike if I have a lot of distance. It's also a very effective strike in close quarters combat. Using my walking cane for self-defense, if he is right next to me, I can bring this up here. As I bring it up, and I turn my body away a little bit. That's why I'm not hitting myself in the face. That's why you're not going to hit yourself in the face. I'm turning my body into it. Remember, to generate stopping power, maximum amount of force, you need extension, rotation, and then when you can move your feet, it's even stronger. But at least extension, rotation right here. I'm rotating from here. The extension is going to come in the wrist and the elbow. So turning here, striking, coming over the shoulder. If he's on the other side, same thing. Turning in, keep hitting that chain. There we go. A little bit different shape, but it's the same basic principle. Even if he's directly behind you, you can bring this up over that shoulder very quickly and turn your body just a little bit, and you strike with maximum force, maximum power. There's not a lot of stuffing up there in the top of that bag. But that's the basic technique. The other thing that you can do is you can go and do all of these strikes that you've practiced if you've been practicing them from your shoulder. And they all are meant to be done from the shoulder. However, in my experience, this is something that's very hard for people to do naturally, instinctively, to come from the shoulder. Almost all of us, when we start, are swinging from the outside of the body or way above the head. And it feels stronger because it's a bigger motion. And it feels like if I swing like that, I'm gonna really create a lot of damage. The problem is when they close that distance and your arm is out here, it's gonna just wrap around their body and it's not going to stop the attack. That's in a big distance. So in that same big distance, to create maximum power, I want to, Doug, I'm gonna answer your question in just a second. I want to push from the shoulder and do the same basic technique. From here to here, here to here, whether I'm far away or close. Either way, if I come off the shoulder, the stick stays in front of me, and if they're closing that distance fast, my arm's not gonna wrap around them because it's not out here. It's going to strike right through them. From here, from the same shoulder or from the opposite shoulder, and watch again, I'm turning the shoulders and the hips, I'm extending the arm, and if you even take like a half of an inch of a step with that front foot, you're gonna create so much more force and power. You're gonna have knockout power, stop the fight power, defend yourself with a walking stick power just by turning your shoulder and taking a little step at the same time. If you can't take the step, don't take the step. At least come from the shoulder and defend yourself. So those are 3 ways you can defend yourself in close quarter combat using techniques that you might already know or probably already know. Bayonet, rifle butt strikes, shoving, hit them off of you right through the face, turning. And so Doug's question was about distance. And Doug says, just like police baton training, and yes, absolutely. And James, I got the police batons you sent me. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate that, and the other survival gear. Funny that you sent me that because I've been putting together a small store here in the school to try to generate some income to keep the lights on, and I'm gonna start to sell some self-defense gear and personal protection gear as people are asking me more and more. They're asking me, where do you get a light source? Where do you get, what do you do if you're out here in this situation and you need to get home? What do you put in your get home bag? What do you put in your bug out bag? What do you do this? And so I'm starting to put together a little pro shop where I used to have just martial arts gear. We now have ropes and self-defense whistles and compasses and water purification. And all that stuff I'm putting together, and I thought, I might as well try it. I love that kind of stuff. I like preparation, so we're gonna put it out there and see. Hello, Peter from Germany. It's good to see you. Now, Doug's question was about the distance on, I think, Doug, unless I'm wrong, you can correct me. I think you're asking about how far do you have to be in order for this to work. I don't want you to have to really reach with those hands. If you're very close, it's simply a turn. If you're a little bit farther, it's a little bit of a step and a turn. So the front foot, let me turn this camera a little bit so you can see my feet. See my big Fred Flintstone feet, right? From here, just a bit of a step. And as I step, I turn and I generate all of that force, and that comes in, and I'm striking with as much power as I can. Now, if I'm even further away, I can take a couple steps. But if I'm further away, I'm going to wait for him to close the distance. And then, let's say there's a wall here and a wall here, I can't get in this position. If I could, I would. But I know from here, I might not be able to strike him in time. I would rather be standing here. Or if this is more comfortable for me. I might be standing here. And then when he closes the distance, then I'm going to thrust. And when I do that thrust, I'm going to step with the thrust. I'm going to push a little bit with the hip. There's a little bit of that turn. I don't know if you can see it there. We'll say that he's closed the distance. I'm going to step and I'm going to thrust, pushing with my whole body into that attack. So to answer, Doug, your question, what about distance? If he's right there, turn into it. Doesn't matter which side's forward. If you're a little bit farther, take a step and turn into it. If you have time, wait for him to come. As soon as he closes the distance, explode. Immediate direct explosive. And in the fight for self-defense, using your walking cane, self-defense walking cane. So that's close quarters combat. Review this one. Give me some feedback. Give me some thumbs up, thumbs down. If you didn't like it, tell me what you didn't like about it. What do you want to see differently? Did I answer the question? Can you fight close combat with this? And Peter says, like close combat fight with a bayonet, it is exactly the same as fixed bayonets. You ran out of bullets. They're charging across the line. Or in this case, they're coming into the building. You get to work, right? You go all in. All right, you guys have been awesome. I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.